Thank you, Ivan, Ali. I'm Cecilia Faustina, and welcome to Western Perspective. Western Australia has reached boiling point with young Indigenous children involved in crime. A study has revealed Indigenous youths are 53 times more likely to be jailed than non-Indigenous youths. But with youth incarceration especially common among 10 to 17 years old, is enough being done to help Indigenous youths turn away from crime and prevent Aboriginal crime rates soaring higher? We had a look at the issue and examined why Indigenous children turn towards crime. It's been a long-running issue throughout Western Australia's history, but now jailing young Indigenous West Australians has reached endemic levels. Indigenous incarcerations have reached an alarming rate in Western Australia. Despite the low population of Aboriginal youths between 10 and 17 years old, making up only 6% of the population. Amnesty International volunteer Marsha Reid is concerned about recent findings about Indigenous incarcerations in an Amnesty report.
WA has the dubious distinction of consistently having a higher rate than all the other states of incarceration of Indigenous youth.
Equal Opportunities WA Acting Commissioner Alan McDonald is also concerned about the lack of equal rights for Aboriginals.
In youth community custody orders or some kind of community arrangements, it's close to around 50% Aboriginal for youth detention or community orders.
More Aboriginals have turned to criminal activities during childhood, with 9 out of 10 children in detention aged between 10 and 13.
Aboriginal people are very prone to being left out of a one-size-fits-all approach that government and other organisations have because their particular needs or problems are not recognised in a one-size-fits-all policy approach.
Experts say a range of factors contribute to these numbers, but one is blamed more than others.
These numbers are likely to increase in light of the state government's recent passing of the home burglaries bill. And that is a bill that's introduced minimum mandatory sentencing to first-time offenders, which means that judges don't have recourse to alternatives like diversion. And so all of these factors and government policies are contributing to the high incarceration rate of Indigenous youth in the state.
More often than not, criminal activities have been seen as a sign of family negligence.
It's down to a small cohort of certain Aboriginal families or Aboriginal identities, and it's whereby some of the families, and I suppose really some of the relatives, aren't really taking responsibility for that particular cohort of young people.
But Corrective Services Minister Joe Francis sees the situation differently.
There was 154 juveniles in prison. At the time of the riot, just before I got the job, there was about 220 juveniles in prison. Today, there's about 120 juveniles in prison. So we are at record low numbers of juvenile incarceration in Western Australia, and clearly that results in record low numbers of Aboriginal juveniles in prison also.
WA has introduced some initiatives to tackle this issue, such as through community initiatives and reward systems.
We've got a range of programs from Broome, Roebourne, Carnarvon, right through down to Albany. But what we are, and this is all part of the current planning session we're going through, it's all about really identifying the more appropriate programs for those young people.
Despite continuing high jail rates for Indigenous youths, Marsha encourages positive actions to tackle the issue and Indigenous-led initiatives.
We need to get behind and support these Indigenous-led initiatives. Indigenous people have been at the center of Amnesty's campaign, and I think we should allow their voices to be front and center in finding solutions to these problems.
Indigenous youth incarceration continues to be a problem in WA, and you can show your support by taking part in community initiatives and Amnesty's campaign. Join us next week when we will have a look into the hub of WA's innovative scene. Until then, good night.